Good morning. Get in here. It is Tuesday, hot as hell, Taco Tuesday. I see a few old strangers in here. Some people we haven't seen in a while. Suds has a question right off the bat. Did they find Caleb? Nothing verified yet. I'm on the edge of my seat about that. Caleb Harris. We have a whole playlist for Caleb. Catch up on it. I put in the Facebook group that they have found a body not too far from where he went missing, but we don't know. Good morning, Peachy. Paper Slut made it in. Mermaid's in. Speaking of mermaid, we have a very special members live on Friday. I'm going to need everybody to pile in for this. I'm telling you, everyone needs to be here. Brandy Neal better be there. Good morning, my love. How are you, Brandy? She said, I'm here listening. She is out of town right now visiting her daddy. We love you, Brandy. Everyone show Brandy some love. And I'm going to show Mermaid some love. Of course, this is a very serious show and a very serious topic. So don't think I'm trying to be silly. But this is really serious. I need you guys to think about this between now and Friday. The voting will commence. I will make an announcement. Today is 6 months until Christmas. Who will start decorating first? Will it be Mermaid or me? Now, if she pulls some bullshit and just gets out some little nutcracker and puts it around the house, that's not going to count. That's not going to count. This bitch knows what I mean about decorating. Just Cat said, I bet you do, Brooks. Britt already said mermaid. We've already got a barn burner, don't we? What are we going to do? We will discuss that on Friday. But in the meantime, let's tell your neighbor, Baptist style, whoever's on top of you, whoever's under you. Don't get horny, suds. I don't mean it that way. Tell them hola and good morning. Again, so glad you guys are here. I am going to drop the link right now for our fabulous friend, Avi. Our fabulous friend. I see Lana's in here. I see Kat is in here. Don't be shy. You old strangers, get up here. Elizabeth said, ugh, slow-mo. Do I have it on slow? I can change if I need to, because there's only a little over 100 of us in here. And I do want to say this. You all are the bomb diggity. Because we know that there hasn't been a lot of public traction in little Michael's case. We know that. But you're here. Yesterday, Michael turned 8. Yes, he did. He turned 8 years old. 3 birthdays now that he has not got to celebrate with his family. Could you just imagine their house with the trick-or-treat baskets they have for him? The Easter baskets. The birthday gifts, the Christmas gifts. I spoke to Brandy at 4:30 my time on Christmas morning. Sorry, this show's always hard for me. Give me a second. Let me bring up Avi. Hey, Avi.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Brooks.
Hey, baby. So I talked to Brandy, like I said, about, 4:30 my time. So about, I guess 3:30 her time, Christmas morning. And she was talking about, of course, Christmas. And she just said, well, of course, the kids are going to be excited. But she said there's going to be unopened presents under the tree again.
That's so heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. Well, the latest that we know, and it's still ongoing because these things take a long time. And I just really need everyone, which you guys are super cool. But sometimes we get some people that come in that don't understand law and justice. They don't understand how things work. And they will get a little accusatory and say things that are not helpful to the family of an abducted child. We already know there are 4 pieces of shit suspects. There they are. You see there, the top left corner, Stacy Wandra. She looks like the freaking Hamburglar from back in the day. You know, when we would go to McDonald's and they actually had the playground equipment that would give you a 3rd-degree burn and you would crawl into that one, it looks like her. Then you see Stacy. We're all very familiar with Stacy because he would come on the show quite a bit. He made a big splash. And I don't mean a cannonball off a diving board. He said so many things that Helen Keller would know he is more than involved in Michael's abduction. Then you have Adrian to the right. I still do not quite understand his involvement, but I do know he is a suspect according to law enforcement. Then Brandon Shirtliff, who is up to his neck in the abduction. So we've discussed this before, so it's just a little recap. This is from March 1st, 2024. The case of missing Michael Vaughn of Fruitland has been ongoing for almost 3 years. Yep. And now the case is being handed over to the Fayette County Prosecutor's Office. Now remember, this is for the 2nd time. We understand that there are some, in quotes, creators out there that don't know how to read. The reason it went back for the 2nd time is because they have more evidence. Remember, the prosecuting attorney said, this is a very complicated case. Let's talk about that, Avi.
Yes. I just really wish that we could get more information from Adrian and Brandon. Do you know what I mean? We got a lot from Stacy.
Oh, I agree. We're going to keep working on Brandon. He doesn't take the bait as easily as Stacy. And one of our good friends, she has definitely got her thumb on Adrian. But we're not going to worry about those people that don't understand how to read and didn't absorb reading comprehension when they were in elementary school. We're not going to worry about them. We had one in our chat a couple weeks ago that said, I'm not here for grown people. I want to know from Dawn, Candace, Seth, and Brandy, where are your children? Well, I didn't know what was going on in the chat. I said, who's talking about Brandy? because Lisa Durr said, don't bring Brandy into this. Don't lump her with those people. Don't do it. And it wasn't until hours later I realized what went on. Woo! Woo! I was hotter than a wet hornet, Avie. I think
Yeah.
I bitched about that for a couple hours with you on the phone.
Yeah, I think that phone call lasted about 3 hours. We went back and forth about that. You can't loop Brandy into this is an abduction. It's Ellie said it. We have to trust Ellie. That's absolutely what it is. They just didn't at random pick 4 random people and called them the suspects. So yeah, I was very upset.
How dare you call out Brandy Neal? And it's not like Brandy's a saint. My goodness. No one's perfect. But she loves her children. Her son was abducted. He was abducted. Britt said Brandy wishes she knew. Frickin' awful. We'll talk about it on the members live. Lana, Brandy would do anything and go anywhere to get her son back. You damn right. You damn right. Someone's got some effing nerve coming into this living room, kicking off their shoes and saying, she needs to tell us I don't get into grown people's problems. Probably listening right now doesn't have the nerve to say a damn thing. That's okay. Doesn't bother me. But Fruitland Police Chief J.D. Huff, who is also Snow's main crush, has forwarded the case to the prosecutor for the second time, saying they believe there is enough evidence to show that Michael's body was once buried on the property of Sarah and Stacy Wandra. This is their evidence. This is their reporting. About a year ago, Fruitland Police said in a press conference after the search that they had discovered evidence that Michael's remains were likely buried in the backyard at one point, but have since been moved to an unknown location. Chief Huff told KBOI that their investigation is ongoing and tips and leads are still being worked, but the case is in the hands of the Fayette County prosecutor. Hence why I want to get these emails out to different people we met at CrimeCon. We know that the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And what we really need to get to them is the interviews with Stacy Wandra. I want the behavioral panel to pick them apart. Joseph Scott Morgan, he gave us his word when we were at CrimeCon and we did that whole CrimeCon live. We were handing out flyers about Michael everywhere. Anyone that walked up to us, hell, there were some people that were just there to visit Nashville, and I would just hand them a Michael Vaughn flyer. And you can all give a round of applause to Jules for that, because I tell you what, she went above and beyond since my dumb ass forgot the flyers at home, and she had to go and print up 200 glossy flyers. Probably going to have Madam Secretary help me with these emails because she's more eloquent with her language than me. Have you ever gotten an email from me before, Avie?
I think only one time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been texts and calls from there.
There's a lot of WHA, a bunch of WTF, STFU. I think Madam Secretary is going to have to help with this. So let's go back to the original search for Michael. Now, it didn't take investigators too long to realize they weren't dealing with the family. They knew they had a heightened concern around there. Chief Huff cleared this up several times. He made an announcement in October of 2021. We are dealing with an abduction. He made it even more crystal clear in November of 2021. We are dealing with an abduction. At the first anniversary of Michael missing, he made it even more crystal clear that there are multiple suspects. Multiple. And he has made it clear that the family is not a focus.
I'd like to note that after a year-long thorough investigation, the family is not a focus of our investigation at this point. They are continuing to fully cooperate with us in all of our efforts from the investigation standpoint. Today, as members of this community,
What's going on, Lana? I have you on my list of people to call in the near future. How are you?
I know, it's been a hot minute. That's why I was like, maybe I will take the link when you called me out in chat. Thank you for bringing me up. Good morning, AB and everyone in chat. I'm doing well, Brooks. Thanks for asking.
Hey,
Can
Lana.
you believe 3 birthdays?
No, and I'm still, just listening to you have, the initial conversation here. I don't know. I can't even bring words to my own feelings around this. I did, have some communication with Brandy a little bit, texting yesterday and thinking about the presents, you brought up about Christmas. And I also got emotional because, one of the last times, I don't remember, Brandy might remember more specifically, I was over and, they've saved every gift all these years that they've got for Michael or anyone has sent for Michael or anything. They're all still there waiting for him. And Buggy comes in and tells us that Monkey told her she can go open them and they're her presents now.
Oh, and you know
And
what?
it just is like,
I don't even doubt it, to be quite honest.
It's so hard to watch those moments of her saying she's, talking to him or having conversations with him or things like that, Monkey wants her to have these presents and have fun with them and play with them and to live with that every day as parents. That's the thing. We come together as a community around these special days, the birthday, the anniversary of his abduction, and yet the family, any given Tuesday, this is what they're going through.
Yes, you're exactly right. Exactly right. Once I get these emails formulated the way I want, yeah, we really need to turn the heat on. Let's go through this verse as a reminder as to where the family was, where Michael was in July, the summer of 2021.
Well, tonight, concern and confusion in Fruitland as law enforcement and the community continue to search for a missing 5-year-old boy. Michael Vaughn, also known as Monkey, has been missing since Tuesday night. Now, we've watched as multiple law enforcement agencies have used helicopters, drones, and canines to find the little boy. Now, a national agency is joining in on the search, and it comes as we're now expecting an update about this case from police. Our Tristan Lewis is live in Fruitland, where he has been staying on top of this story for us this week. Tristan, walk us through what you've learned.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, by this point, they had already told community members to stay home because they had the dogs out. And they lost his scent at Southwest in Arizona. Now, when Stacy, and we have a whole playlist if you guys want to go through it again, it needs to be covered again. It definitely does. Brooks has had a hard summer with all my farming. You ought to see me right now. I look like I'm a totally different race. Enough about me. Stacy admitted to seeing the child out southwestern Arizona. He admitted to stopping to refill power steering fluid. He described Michael. Then Michael transformed into could have been a girl. Then by the next interview, he thought about what he was saying, and he said, oh, that was a Mexican kid. He was about 11 because he was really filled out. So remember, in this right here, they already knew they had a problem. I mean, a big problem.
Shira, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children say they have a team on location in Fruitland. That team is known as Team Adam. They help with local law enforcement agencies on their search, spread awareness of children's disappearances, and help families during this devastating time. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children were not able to go into full details about what they are bringing to Michael's case, but in general, Team Adam is made up of retired law enforcement professionals. They are sent to sites where cases are unfolding to provide ground technical assistance and other national resources. They also bring equipment and more resources for each case. And while Team Adam is currently on location, the Idaho Army National Guard was in the area Wednesday, also aiding in search efforts. They were asked to use one of their UH-72A Lakota search and rescue helicopters.
Our crew conducted a thorough search of the area of interest, but unfortunately they were unable to locate the missing boy.
The Idaho Army National Guard was soon after called off the search. Lieutenant Borders tells me they get their requests for these types of operations from the Air Force Rescue Center in Florida. And again, this search is still very active, and Fruitland police ask everyone in the area to check their property, their security camera, and if they see anything, let police know as soon as possible. And Shira, like you were saying, Fruitland police will be holding a media briefing tomorrow at 2 p.m. at City Hall. And of course, we'll be staying on top of the latest on everything going on in this case, and any updates will be provided on ktvb.com. Shira.
Thanks, Tristan. And again, we want to show you, this is a picture of Michael. He has blonde hair, blue eyes, and is about 3'7". He was last seen wearing a blue t-shirt and dark blue briefs.
Now, remember, Stacy originally says, he describes his outfit to a T, but he realizes what he did. So then it became a lime green shirt. Lime green. Think about that. Think about that. It's always going to work my nerves. What could have been their motive, allegedly? Do you want to weigh in on that, Avi?
Well, I don't know if people are going to agree with my opinion, but I know that you had multiple interviews with him, and the TV discussion kept coming up. There was a TV, there wasn't a TV. He was specific about what they were watching on TV, but then they didn't have a TV because Sarah referred to it as demonic. So that just plugs things, or that was plugging things into my head. Was there a TV? Were they watching something demonic? I hate to go there, and I hope that wasn't inappropriate, but I don't know.
What do you think their motivation was, Lana?
I have mixed thoughts on this. Honestly, I believe a couple of things. I believe it was multifaceted. I fully believe that Sarah wanted a child and had maybe been definitely plotting on her own, possibly plotting with Stacy on how to obtain a child. Clearly, we know from Brandon and Stacy that she was trying to get pregnant in multiple ways with various people. So that motivation was real. Her ex-husband even stated so on an interview, due to her alleged from him due to her trauma, he stated, from having to give up a child that she had had as a teenager. So I do believe that was real, but I also believe, you know, what law enforcement and others have kind of stated, that these people had a monetary goal with Michael. And I do believe Adrian to be that dark horse running from the contact that I've had with him, which has all been turned over to Ellie over all these months and months and months that it continues to happen. The stuff that he has said publicly in comments, what we know from Stacy. And I do believe that Adrian might have made promises to these three on having connections to be able to accomplish that, and then could not fulfill those connections. And that's why he had to move, because we know matter of factly from a local contact that he left the Wandra home on August 20th and lived in a hotel for a couple of days because he had had a massive falling out with Sarah. And then this individual helped Adrian to get his plane ticket to Los Angeles at that point. So, I believe the motivation was twofold for them.
I think it is too, and I think Adrian couldn't keep up his end of the bargain. So
Exactly.
when he got the hell out of Dodge, and Stacy said that he kicked him out because it was inappropriate that he had other women over. That would not upset Stacy or Sarah at all. Maybe Sarah a little bit. But when Adrian texted him and said, "Did you really kill that boy?"
Right.
And then Stacy starts, throwing out the N-word, calling him all kinds of names.
Right.
It really lays with the Payette County prosecutor. And we can get him the help he needs just everybody we met at CrimeCon to help him work through how to prosecute and make it stick. Because charges don't mean shit. Okay?
No.
I know it makes people feel better. They're like, oh, good, they're locked up. They've been arrested. That stuff falls through all the time. And GB folk, yes, share. Yes.
Idaho say their worst fears are being realized as they piece together what happened to a little boy named Michael Vaughn. This little boy, nicknamed Monkey, disappeared in July of 2021. He was playing outside his home in Fruitland, Idaho. Investigators recently excavated a backyard near his family home. It's about a half a mile away from where Michael lived and was last seen. They did that excavation last month. They did not find any human remains on that property, but they say the cadaver sniffing dogs indicated that remains had been buried there at some point. The police chief said, quote, "We strongly believe based on evidence that Michael was."
And I love how she emphasized evidence. Based on evidence. Now, when you get these walking, talking dildos that know how to use their phone on YouTube, they're like, what evidence? What evidence are they talking about? Listen, you're on a need to know basis, fool. You don't need to know the evidence. The evidence is for prosecution and for the jury to put these people away. I love when they go, how come the neighbors aren't speaking out? Where's all the CCTV? None of this is making sense to me. I can't stand it. No, I don't think so. I still think it's Tyler and Brandy. Can you believe that shit? All of this time and everything the police have put out. I couldn't believe. After all the stuff we have said and we have covered for years about Michael, I get this comment. I wish Brandy and Tyler were treated like Dawn and Candace. Maybe we'd find out what Tyler did to Michael and where he dumped his body. Really? Really, fool? Are you out of your damn minds?
Was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from that property. Police have arrested Sarah Wandra for failing to report a death. She has not been found mentally competent for this case to proceed against her. Joining us now is Bernarda Villalona, legal analyst, criminal defense attorney, and former prosecutor. We appreciate you being here this morning. As I mentioned, Michael Monkey was last seen in July of last year, so a lot of time has gone by. This is the first time police, though, have come out and definitively said, really without any ambiguity, we believe that Michael is deceased and we are looking for his remains. Do they have enough yet for prosecutors to proceed with a case based on the two people they have in custody so far?
It was very disheartening to hear the press conference from Chief Huff. We don't know much about the investigation. As Chief Huff stated, this is an open and active investigation, so they don't want to give much information to the public because they don't want to disturb the integrity of the investigation. But based on what we know now, reading through the lines of what Chief Huff said during the press conference, we know that this couple, Sarah and Stacy, are in custody. Sarah's only in custody for failure to report a death of human remains. And that is only a misdemeanor that carries a penalty of up to 1 year. Her husband is in custody, but he hasn't been charged or anything relating to the death.
Now, remember, this is from quite some time ago. Some people get really upset that they dropped the charges on Sarah. Now, remember, they were dropped without prejudice. They can pick them up anytime they want. There is a huge difference between a felony and a misdemeanor. Would you rather Sarah get a misdemeanor and serve a year for failing to report? Or would you rather the investigation follow through? And as much as I can't stand this statement, trust the process. Because there's no microwave justice unless they catch someone red-handed. It's just not possible. There's a lot of stuff to go through to prove to 12 people what happened.
And without a reasonable doubt. 12 people without a reasonable doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And that is incredibly difficult. And thank you for outlining that, Brooks, because that is something that we have to definitely keep in mind as we are supporting the family, supporting, law enforcement, and we all get frustrated, as supporters. I think, where is that information? Where is Michael? What's going on? But, as someone who I stood there with Brandy one time talking to the prosecutor after one of Sarah's hearings, and they flat out said the goal is to find Michael. Mm-hmm. The goal is to find Michael.
And just my opinion, I've never talked to him, don't have any reason to talk to him. I think that is the holdup with the prosecuting attorney, because it's much easier to sell life in prison or death when you actually have the victim, if you know what I mean.
Or the abduction of Michael Vaughn. Based on what I've heard so far, I don't hear enough to charge homicide, even though the body hasn't been recovered. But we do know that there was at least probable cause for a search warrant to be executed at that home. So I'm curious to read what was the probable cause to execute that search warrant at that home.
Right. And I found it really interesting that police went so far in that recent press conference after excavating the yard to put photos of two other people that they want to question in connection with Michael's disappearance. One is Brandon Shurtleff. He's 30 years old, from Idaho, currently believed to be in North Dakota. The other one is Adrian Lucene. He's 32. They believe he may be in Toledo, Ohio. Both of them were either living or had been at the home around the time that they believe Michael disappeared. How significant was that when you saw police right at the beginning put out their faces, their names, and not call them suspects, but say, we do want to talk to you?
So it is out of the ordinary for law enforcement to state the names and also show the photographs of individuals that they're looking to question, looking for information, but not saying that they're suspects or had anything to do with the abduction or the death of Michael Vaughn. Because as you can see towards the end of that press conference, the law enforcement chief Puss was saying that we hope that you do contact law enforcement so we can be able to talk to you, because they do have information to believe that they were inside of the house at some point during the time period of Michael Vaughn's disappearance, but they're not saying that they had any involvement in the abduction or the death of Michael Vaughn. So it's a little bit out of the ordinary, because usually you wouldn't put out the names and photographs of eyewitnesses or witnesses to the public because it can cause harm to them. But I think the reason they did it is to put pressure on them to come forward. But at this point, if they were to come forward, I would suggest that they get an attorney to represent them when they go to talk to police. Because at this point, look, you put my name out there. I don't know if you're looking at me as a suspect. You're not saying you're looking at me as a suspect, but that could be, so I don't lawyer up.
So the next step in this, it sounds as though police are going to continue the search now of a neighbor's yard. The neighbors are cooperating with ground penetrating radar. I found it unique that they came out and said that we believe he's deceased without finding his remains yet. What does that tell you? That they may be close to finding him based on what they found or didn't find so far in that backyard?
I'm going to pause it there for a second, because Brandon, who got the hell out of Dodge, he about shit his pants when the FBI came to see him in Montana. Then he ran to North Dakota. Well, he's back in Idaho, so he's not worried about those pot warrants anymore. And don't think for a second they do not have eyes and ears on him. There is no way in hell someone can get that many traffic tickets that close together for nominal charges unless they're being tailed. No friggin' way. I'm surprised he's still in Idaho. What do you think, Lana?
Oh, he's in Idaho because he's got the support of family here for his legal defense, which, you know, I admit, I have to admit, when I saw that he obtained private counsel for such a minimal charge, really, he could have just gotten, you know, a public defender. I hoped that information was going to be coming forward, that he was going to be utilizing that channel to bring information forward about Monkey. That hope quickly diminished, because clearly he's not going to do that.
Now, when does my lover Stacy get out of jail? You know, that's what people say.
I heard 8 months.
8 months. Okay.
Yeah, it's really hard to find that information online when it's the federal, you know, level like that.
Okay, so he's been in for 3, so probably by the end of the year he'll be out on his probation violation. I mean, he was doing everything wrong while he was on probation.
Oh yeah, he really pissed off his probation officer. That list was lengthy.
Yeah. But I mean, don't worry. I mean, when he gets out, he'll be going through the Rolodex and he'll be calling people, because he's going to need his 2-foot-long Jimmy John sandwiches. And I got all day for that shit. Don't even worry about it.
So in terms of the neighbor's backyard, we know that the neighbor is not requiring a warrant from law enforcement to search the neighbor's backyard. So that is significant in the sense of, look, law enforcement did not have to go in front of a judge and say, look, I think there's probable cause to search the neighbor's backyard, because we know the neighbors, at least by the press conference, are not involved because there was no statement in that regard. However, in regards to the search of the Wandran's home, we know that there was a search warrant. So those cadaver dogs did hit positive for human remains having been in that backyard. But what's interesting about that is that the dogs, they hit positive, meaning there's a positive smell, that at some point there were human remains there, but it doesn't tell you who those human remains belong to.
Well, it is a chilling and tragic case, and I do want to point out that the community has applauded law enforcement's efforts in Fruitland because they have not given up. In fact, when you go to the main website for the Fruitland Police Department, Michael Vaughn's case is at the very top of that page. He vanished in July of last year. So they say they are relentless in their search for justice and for answers for this little boy. That indicates to me that we will be hearing much more from police as they continue this search in the days and weeks to come. Bernarda, thank you for your time this morning and a closer look at this case. We sure appreciate it. Thank you for.
I applaud them because I think they have done amazing, amazing work. I don't think there is a officer in Fruitland that hasn't had a day, an hour, a minute without thinking about Michael at all.
No, and in fact, it's not just Fruitland Police. It's Payette Police. It's Ontario Police. It's New Plymouth Police. It's all the little town precincts around there. Many times when they've had press conferences and JD Huff has introduced the line of, people behind him, you've seen, Payette City Police, captain, you've seen Payette County Sheriff, you've seen all these heads of the local areas standing there with him.
I agree, and I can't even imagine what they're going through. Now, True Crime Beat, when she was at CrimeCon, she was talking to Marnie with News Nation, and she reminded Marnie of Michael Vaughn. Now, here's the thing about the media. You can hand something straight to Ted Koppel. You can hand something straight to Dan Rather, Lester Holt, whoever, and they are going to fold it, put it in their pocket, and say, I have to talk to a producer. But either way, the apple cart was shook because those producers, here's a funny story. People call me tragedy pimp, tragedy pimp, tragedy pimp. Those media producers, they're the tragedy pimps because they're not putting shit or shinola out until they go through the ratings. Well, I say if enough of us shake the apple cart, we're going to get some movement.
You are not even joking, Brooks. I am reminded of conversations I had through Twitter DM with the producer at Dateline that I was directed to personally because someone I knew from a podcast that had been interviewed on Dateline. So I had the direct contact to the guy that makes the decision that could put Monkey's face on Dateline. And he flat out said, we only do murder shows. And I'm like, but it says missing person on your submission page right here. There's a little box, missing person. Well, we're only doing murder shows right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I tell you who is in my crosshairs right now, and that's that goofy fuck Nate Eaton. Because I had a conversation with him, True Crime Beat. Matter of fact, I'll put the link up so she can come up and tell you her conversation. He complains about how far it is from East Idaho News to Fruitland. But this bastard could go and put sunscreen on and chase Lori Vallow around Hawaii. He's going to Arizona for a trial. He was in Nashville, but this is too far. I said flat out to him. I said, everyone already knows about the Daybell Vallow thing. We got it. You don't have to live in Idaho to know about it. You don't have to be from Arizona. We got it. But
that's media. That's media. That's just like when we had, we've had major support locally, mostly with KTVB, but all the stations have been great. And it was Monkey's birthday last time, and they were going to, run segments and update his story and all of that. And then Roe v. Wade was overturned that morning. And they're like, oh, we might not be able to send someone because our producers want us to talk about this. And I'm like, y'all are going to be talking about this for the next 5 years or so.
Mhm.
Like, today's his birthday. Like, it really comes down to one person sitting in that decision room going to bat for Michael to run his story ahead of XYZ.
No, you're exactly right. Hold on, let me bring up True Crime Beat, and she can tell you about her conversation she had one-on-one with Nate Eaton. Let's have a round of applause for True Crime Beat. She was at CrimeCon as well. She was kind of a thorn in Nate Eaton's side. That's okay. Hello, Shannon. So I don't want to speak for you. If you could just let everyone know about your conversation with Nate Eaton.
Well, I got to see him a few times. So the one time I really came up to him, I said, hey, I wish I had a flyer in my hand, but I didn't. But I said, so how come you're not covering little Michael Monkey Vaughn? He knew exactly who I'm talking about. He knows. He says, oh, well, we've been doing the Dalla, and I said, well, he said, oh, they're 7 hours away. And I said, well, that's okay, though. Y'all are in the same state. Why can't you cover it? He said, well, once we get done with all this stuff, I'll see what I can do. And I said, okay, but we're going to, we really want you to cover him because it's been sent twice now to the prosecutor and we need to get this out there. And he said he would try. So I think we just need to keep pushing him. I really do.
Yeah. And he looked at Dylan Round's mother as if he didn't even know her. And she's been on his show a couple of times.
That's strange.
And when I was talking to the Mormon bastard, now mind you, Chloe had given me a few Bloody Marys, and I just said, piss on that Daybell shit. We already know that story. Why don't you? I said, this is an abducted little boy in your state.
100%. He said 7 hours. I'm like, come on now. And he has a lot of ability to get stuff out there. And I think you're right. We need to start emailing these people, talking to them, and just pushing it at them. We're going to have to. And, Monkey's Army can do it. We're going to have to do it.
I mean, I went to Anjanette Levy. I can't even tell you who all I went to. And everything was, I'll get it to my producer.
Mm-hmm. Marnie was looking at that board, though, a lot because I saw her again, and she knows exactly who he is as well. She does really care, so we need to just continue to keep his name right in front of them every as much as possible. So that's the only thing we can do. I mean, eventually they're gonna either block us or cover it. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. And I think the local station there has done a great job. If you really want to know the truth, they come to Brandy quite a bit, for updates. Well, I tell you what, I couldn't believe the day that I was talking to Stacy, and he was so excited that this woman from Channel 7 wanted to take him to lunch. He thought she was going to date him. She got Uber and she did buy him lunch. Well, I mean, of course, she didn't do it personally. It was definitely on the news station. So let's go back to not what he told me, but what Fat Bastard said to Channel 7.
First things first, where's your shitter? I've got a turtle head poking in. I got a crap on deck that could choke a donkey. Oh.
I'm here to clear my name.
The people of Fruitland Police is now calling a suspect in the abduction of Michael Monkey Vaughn. Spoke to News 7 Investigates Morgan Romero. Fruitland's police chief told us for the first time, Stacy.
He told me, I still have the text. He thought Morgan Romero wanted to jump on his pogo stick as if she could find it.
He wanted to date somebody in the community too, didn't he? He was looking for a girlfriend.
All the time. He wanted to have a dating show. You
Yeah.
gotta be kidding me. I tried to set him up with Lana, but she wouldn't take the bait.
Stacy Wandra is a suspect in the little boy's disappearance. His wife, Sarah, was previously charged with failure to report Michael's death. But that charge was dropped several months later, though she remains a suspect. Now, along with the Wandras, police labeled 2 men who lived with them, Adrian Lucien and Brandon Shirtliff, suspects who absolutely know what happened to Michael. 5 years old at the time, Michael disappeared from his Fruitland home on Southwest 9th Street on July 27, 2021. In November of 2022, we were there as crews searched and excavated the property where those 4 suspects lived, just 2-minute drive from the Vaughn's home. Police said they had credible information from someone living in the Wandras' house that Michael's body was there. Human remains, dogs alerted, but ultimately, Michael wasn't found.
By the way, everything that we know, Stacy knows, Sarah knows, Brandon knows, Adrian knows. They even know way more, as Stacy put out on this channel and others. Stacy flat out said, without a body, they can't do anything. You'd have to be fucking retarded to think that. He's so eloquent in his speech, when he speaks. And he has a very explosive temper. He can go from 0 to 100 real quick. And that is just from my personal him. I know he flipped out on AV one day.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brooks, but didn't Brandon tell you that if he got caught, he wouldn't get more than 5 years for his involvement?
They're cocky, aren't they? These guys.
Yeah, they're adding it up. They're doing the math. They're playing the game to their side.
And there's still some people out there cheering them on. Anything you want to say, AV?
Well, I mean, the first thing that I want to mention is, who tipped off the police? Who said it? Stacy said it. He absolutely did. And he thought that he was going to get a deal. That's what he thought. Right, Stacy? You listening out there? Remember me, Stacy? Oh,
Yeah, he thought he was going to get a deal. But the joke was on him when they went and dug up the backyard and Michael wasn't there because he was going to take the 15 and 5. He was going to take it. Well, guess what? When he went to the pokey back in the spring of 2022, and Sarah did, Brandon and Randy were at the house. They were being overseen by Sarah's mother, Kay. And then, boom, in November, there's no Michael.
Police believe Michael was buried in the yard and then moved. Fruitland police sent probable cause to the Payette County prosecutor last summer to be presented to a grand jury. Police Chief J.D. Huff says a grand jury hasn't convened yet, but they will soon. Although that case centers around the Wandras and their roommates, Stacy tells us he knows nothing about Michael's abduction.
Stacy Wandra, S-T-A-C-E-Y.
It's been 2 months since Stacy Wandra was released from federal custody, convicted of a gun crime unrelated to the disappearance of little Michael Vaughn.
And what have you been doing since?
I've been trying to live my life the best way I can.
Stacy agreed to interview with me to, quote, clear his name.
I have no reason to hide anything from anybody. I'm not that type of person. I'm an open book. You can ask me anything and I will tell you an honest answer to it.
Were you involved in...
The hell, he's not that type of person. When he was in those boys' homes, he kept getting moved because of his aggression, physically and sexually, against the other boys that were in there with him. He also has a history of not being too damn nice to animals.
In the disappearance of Michael Vaughn?
No,
Why do police think you were?
I have no idea.
Stacy thinks law enforcement's case may hinge on Adrian Lucien, one of the men living with Stacy and his wife at the time Michael disappeared. One of the men police are calling a suspect.
Any clues or evidence that could point to that from your knowledge?
No.
Okay.
I would never have thought Sarah, Brandon, or Adrian would. Maybe Adrian, but I wouldn't have thought Sarah or Brandon would have ever done something like this. I was not even home at the night of the disappearance. I know that at that nighttime, Sarah, Brandon, and I had left to Cuna to go recover his tow's vehicle.
Elaborate on that day a little bit more. You said you were working?
Yeah, so I did a taxi ride from Ontario to Boise. I know that I was gone a good portion of the day from like 1 p.m. in the afternoon to like about 4. Spent some time with a former coworker or boss that I used to work for. I think I spent maybe an hour and a half, and then had come back home. And the neighborhood was completely solitude. It was quiet.
Stacy claims he, Brandon, and Sarah left their house and headed to Cuna to tow Brandon's car around 5:30 to 6 p.m. on July 27th, 2021. Brandon blew a spark plug and couldn't drive it, he says. Fruitland police believe Monkey went missing between 6:40 and 7 p.m. that night.
When we got back, I think about between 9 and 10 o'clock at night, we noticed there was an excessive amount of people out in the community walking around the neighborhood. We had stopped and asked what was going on, and they said that a boy had been abducted or been taken, and it was news to me.
A boy had been abducted or taken. It was news to me. What a Freudian slip.
For real.
If a child goes missing in my neighborhood, we're going to assume that the child, like, okay, across the street from us, friend of ours, 6, 7-year-old boy. I couldn't tell you for sure. Don't know his birthday or anything. He rides his bike around and stuff. If suddenly he didn't come home, we would think that he got lost out, playing by the creek, got out into the woods, doing what boys do. God forbid he got hit by a car on his bike. But we would never assume that he was abducted or, as he says, taken. Police did not tell him that. These are his words, my friends. These are his words. And someday, if it's okay with other people, not my call, I will go through all of my calls with Stacy, and you'll see how he really is.
It was news to Sarah, what it seemed like, and Brandon. We got home, Brandon and Sarah decided they were going to go look for the boy, and I was in the process of getting the vehicle detached from the truck because it was taking up the whole length of the street pretty much.
Stacy later clarified to me he wasn't initially told Michael was abducted, just that he was missing. And where was Adrian that day?
Adrian and Brandon and Sarah all took a trip to Boise in the morning before I did my taxi ride. It was Adrian wanted to go see his kid.
He claims Adrian stayed in either Boise or Nampa all night.
Is that what they told you, or do you know that to be true for a fact?
I mean, that's just what I'm going based off of. I mean, I was told the same thing that's, all over. I wasn't with them.
Human cadaver dogs are highly reliable. Why did police tell you that human cadaver dogs pinged on your property at that home?
They didn't really give an explanation. They just said that the dogs had hit around the property. But
they don't need to give an explanation. It's self-explanatory. We know why the dogs hit in your backyard. We know why the dogs hit at Brandon's mama's house. I don't have a sniffer like that. No way. We know why the dogs hit. You're the one that told them because you wanted the 15 and 5.
Yeah, I even spoke to an investigator that I know personally out of Utah who trains cadaver dogs and personally owns 2 that he goes out and currently actively works, cases with. And he said that if that were to be true, that there were like a leaky toilet and feces and whatever, of course the dog is going to notice that, but the dog is not going to call that. The dog is not going to give their, hit mark on feces. The dog
No.
is only going to give that mark on a cadaver, on body, on human remains.
And the same when Tina put her smart ass answer out saying, oh, well, they told me that I had a leaky toilet. Let's look at it. Shirtless mother, Tina, told KTVB in a message that police came knocking at her door and their cadaver dog alluded to something on her property. She said the dog smelled poop outside near her crawl space from her leaking toilet. Now, we know that Brandon has spoke several times about crawl spaces. Is he talking about the crawl space at the Wandra's home or at Tina's home? Smelled poop near her crawl space from her leaking toilet. According to Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, cadaver dogs do not alert on human feces, and they're not trained to find it. But
Nope.
she thought she was a real wise ass by saying,
No, I know. And other air quotes creators are like, well, of course the dog's going to notice the poop and point out the poop. And it's like, no, duh. The dog is going to notice it. But the dog is so trained, it is not going to call on poop.
You've got to be kidding me. In this case, I don't know who I'm more mad at. I'll figure it out someday.
I mean, there was nothing. I don't even know how that's even feasible because like I said, I've never even heard of this kid. I've never seen this kid. Never knew anything about him.
Police said that they believe Michael's body was buried there and then moved. Can you think of any time that his body would have been buried there and then moved? Does anything stand out to you?
Not at all. They were saying that he was buried by the shed. Makes absolutely no sense. There's been no dig marks. There's no trench marks. There's nothing. The ground was a complete grassed area.
Could it have happened when you weren't around and it was potentially covered up?
It could have, very possibly. I just know that I wasn't around for any of it. I have no idea. I would like to know what happened to him.
They did say that they recovered several pieces of evidence at your home and on your property. Do you know what those pieces of evidence were?
Well, it's news to me.
The day after our interview,
he was playing with something.
Stacy gave a YouTuber a new piece of information.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to recollect as best as I can for you.
He, Brandon, and Sarah pulled over to put power steering.
That YouTuber is me. Thanks for the credit, Morgan, but I guess you were too busy fighting over Stacy with me.
Fluid in his car right after they left for Kuna the day Michael was abducted. He says they saw a child playing by himself on the sidewalk down the street around the corner from the Vaughn's home.
The kid I saw did not depict Michael. I mean, he wasn't like a little kid. You know what I mean? Like he was, that's why I said it didn't concern me at all that he was out and about doing his thing.
Stacy says he doesn't know what's in the probable cause affidavit police sent to prosecutors. The one police say centers around him, Sarah, Adrian, and Brandon.
Do you think police have anything on you or your wife?
I personally know for a fact they don't have anything against me or on me. I have no knowledge. I wasn't even home. I have no knowledge of who this little boy is, his whereabouts, or anything about him.
In his interview with the YouTuber, Stacy said his attorney told him he's no longer a person of interest in Michael's abduction. Chief Huff tells me that's not true.
Yeah, Stacy did tell me that. Paper Slut said they credited YouTube laughing my ass off WTF. I know. You know how many times over the years a news station will use this channel and say, a YouTuber, but then you got Dolly's ass sitting on court TV getting free sandwiches and shit. No respect. But the important thing is, you're right. I'm right. Chief Huff said, doesn't matter what his attorney said or what he wants to lie about to the TV. Chief Huff said, he's a suspect. Listen to that again.
On you or your wife?
I personally know for a fact they don't have anything against me or on me. I have no knowledge. Again, I wasn't even home. I have no knowledge of who this little boy is, his whereabouts, or anything about him.
In his interview with the YouTuber, Stacy said his attorney told him he's no longer a person of interest in Michael's abduction. Chief Huff tells me that's not true. When I called Stacy's attorney to get a straight answer, his attorney told me, quote, I have no comment at this time, and hung up. I also reached out to Michael's mom, Brandy Neal, to let her know about this interview airing. She was appreciative and said the most important thing in the world is to get Michael home.
Sarah said, are they still married, Stacy and Sarah? Yes, they are. Was a divorce filed? Yes, it was. Was it more than likely paid for by, do I have a reverb? What's going on? Was it more than likely paid for by Sarah's mother? Yes. In my opinion, will they ever get divorced? No. Because if they're divorced, they would have to testify against each other, and that would be impossible because they are partners in crime. Avi, can you weigh in on that?
Yeah, they get into spats quite often, I hear, but I think Stacy is lying to the ladies because he's a ladies' man. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
But he's lying to a lot of his little lady friends, saying that they are going to get divorced, that they're splitting up. But whenever it all boils down to it, it's not happened, and they still contact one another quite often. So yeah, that's what I know.
He had to take her call when he was on the show with me. And of course, she was just like, what the hell are you doing? She answers emails from different people. There's really not much she can say because her kiosk is monitored. And it's like $1.16 a word. And she said Stacy told her he was just mad at her and made all that stuff up when he was on YouTube. What a thing to do. Pill Ryder, Brooks, do you think they did together or Stacy act alone and she helped cover up? I'm going to let Lana answer this.
Do I think the girlfriend helped cover up or?
No, she said, do you think they did it together or Stacy acted alone and she helped cover up? If someone put a playlist in here, I'm going to say 3 of them for sure acted, just my opinion, acted in symphony. And that is Stacy, Sarah, and Brandon.
Yes, I that is my opinion as well. I do agree based on conversations I've had that, and from what Stacy said as well, to corroborate that Adrian was not there in Fruitland that night. I do believe that when Adrian got back to the Wandra house the next day, that is when he saw Michael with them.
And I have a different theory. I don't think Michael came back to the house. I think Michael was left alone at Tina's house. And I think
yeah, we've discussed that too. That's kind of my second theory. I agree with you with that. I don't know if I agree that he was left alone. I think Adrian could have been over in Cuna with his friend, his female friend that he was hanging out with that night. But either way, I do believe fully that Adrian saw Michael with them the next day somewhere.
Oh, I agree. I almost wonder if Adrian's not the one that brought him back to the house. Because, I mean, there is a reason that Brandon and Sarah drove back to Kuna on the 28th to dry Brandon's clothes when she has a laundry business in the house. Why you got to go to Kuna to do that?
Exactly. Not only that, even if her laundry facilities were not working or not adequate, her parents live just around the block.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I never thought about this before, but I wonder, has Tina made any other post, or Tina, are you listening? What do you think about that? What do you think about Sarah and Brandon going to your house and washing his clothes and then going back the next day to dry them? I'm just curious about that. You know, because the dogs, they just hit on poop, right? Right, Tina?
They just hit on poop. That's it. They didn't hit on anything else. Well, the last time I spoke to Tina was right before Thanksgiving. I asked her what her and Brandon were going to do for Thanksgiving. And she kind of gave me a smart ass answer, and then she blocked me. I mean, what to do? I'm just trying to tell someone Happy Turkey Day.
I thought it was really sweet of you to wish them a happy Thanksgiving.
No, I just want to know who's making the turkey, who's doing the cranberry sauce. Does she have like a family recipe for stuffing? I mean, you know, does Brandon, is he more of a dessert person? You know, there's nothing wrong with asking things like that. You know, just come on, you know, just opening up the conversation. Well, a couple of years ago, Kat, Navi, myself, and Brandy spoke about Michael's birthday. And this was before the 1-year anniversary of his disappearance. And she gave us a lot of insight, of course, only as a mother can do it because this is her life, about Michael. Hold on one second. Court K, did you get my text message? I'll get with her in a second.
All of the different Marvel characters. And so we've got in this giant, it's like the Batmobile, and it moves. It comes up and then into a robot, and then it moves itself down. And
okay, this is Brandy talking about what they bought Michael for his birthday. This was the first birthday without Monkey. So she's talking about the Batman car that they got.
And it's amazing.
That sounds amazing.
We got 100 blue biodegradable balloons. Monkey cares about the environment. He loves animals. So
we'll be doing a balloon release today.
I'm not sure if we're going to do the release, but we're going to have him at his birthday party.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm shaking. I haven't stopped.
Did you sleep at all last night?
About an hour. 6 years ago, I woke up about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I thought it was Braxton Hicks, because a week prior, I thought I had gone into labor, and what I had actually done, because I was so big with him, I had torn the muscles in my ribs right here.
Oh.
Because I was so big. It was all belly. He was all belly. And so I woke up about 1 o'clock in the morning. Tyler was watching TV. And I was like, God, I just don't feel right. I'm going to get in the shower, And I was like, oh, it's just Braxton Hicks. And it's no big deal. Got, 5 more days before he's supposed to be born. Because he was supposed to be born it was longer. Because he was supposed to be born on the 4th of July. So I got in the shower, and then my contractions just kept coming faster and faster, and was like, Jesus Christ, okay. And so I laid on the couch for about an hour, and it was just not okay. And I was like, all right, Ty, we gotta go. And the hospital that all of the kids have been born in is about 45 minutes away. And so by the time we get to the hospital, driving that way towards Boise it's always morning traffic, like between 5:30 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. And we were at like dead stop traffic. And I had this contraction and I almost ripped the little armrest off. And at one point, I think I told Tyler to drive on the meridian, the grass, to get around everything. We got to the hospital, and let's see, he was born about 4.5 hours later.
He was ready.
Yep. Yeah. He was perfect.
Perfect baby. She said he was perfect. Here's a picture that Brandy shared the other day. June 24th, 2016. She said almost 7 centimeters. There's her and Tyler. She actually looks more comfortable than Tyler. Looks like Tyler hasn't had any sleep. She's just trying to sleep through contractions. And the fight this family has been through.
I mean, he's been on the go ever since.
Mm-hmm. And he's coming home.
He's coming home.
He's coming home. I got a message from one of the officers this morning, and it's very powerful. It said, "I'm here all day if you need anything."
Oh.
And so much has been taken from you already. Don't let today be taken from you.
Oh.
Today was the day that you brought this little angel into this world.
Oh.
So we're going to celebrate Monkey today. Because he would want today to be fun and happy. And we're going to have, I went and got a bunch of water guns and water shooters and these huge bubble makers and bubbles. And so.
Is it hot today?
Yeah, yesterday it was almost 90. Today it's probably going to be about the same.
Wow. You know that we're here with you in spirit, Brandy, right?
Yes. And I just want to thank you all for your kindness. And Monkey's going to love seeing all of this love from everybody. It'll make him really happy, I know.
Well, we're all here for you.
Yep. 100%.
How's Tyler holding up today? Okay.
I'm letting him rest right now. He needs to rest because we haven't been okay all week and we didn't sleep. So last night, actually, it was this morning, about 6 o'clock, a little bit before 6 o'clock. 5 of the planets aligned.
Wow.
Oh.
And Monkey got a star for Christmas, his own star.
I saw the picture of the certificate.
Mm-hmm. And you could see it last night.
Oh.
You could see it. You could see it this morning. So
wow.
we talked to Monkey Star and talked to him and let him know that we're going to bring him home. We're going to find him, and we're not giving up hope. I'm sorry, Miss Cat. I hope you're feeling better.
No, that's okay.
Tell her it's just your COVID kicking back up.
Yeah, it's just like it's COVID.
I don't think tears were part of COVID.
Oh, I think I'm human.
Well, then I have no excuse over here.
I've been on mute there for the last 2 or 3 minutes.
I want to say this about Navi and Kat. Kat is the one that told me about Michael Vaughn. I don't know what rock I've been living under. I had no idea. So I started covering Michael Vaughn. Kat was telling me her take on the case. You all know that we are great friends. She's my internet lover. And I said, let me go through it. I said, I need to, make up my own mind. And it was like, I can't even tell you what time at night it was. And Kat answered her Facebook Messenger. That's how we talk, because we have a ocean between us. And I said, now what the hell is going on? I said, this family couldn't have done it. The time makes no sense. And of course, Kat was like, that's what I've been trying to tell you. Because, you hear all the gibberish. Tyler and Brandy, Tyler and Brandy, Tyler and Brandy, and that's basically all I was finding. And I went through the news articles, and particularly what Huff was saying. And I said, there's absolutely no way. No way. And this is before I even talked to Brandy or anything. This is a family that is doing nothing but working their ass off to find their little boy. And there are still some people out there, and I don't think they'll ever give up. They're going to find any little thing they can. I mean anything. Missed a car note. Had a beer in the backyard, you name it. And they're going to hold it over their head. But they're going to excuse these 4 pieces of human scum. Yeah, they are. They can't sit with us.
This day last year was the day he got that green card.
Uh-huh.
And that's all he wanted to do. That's all he wanted to do. And he would have slept in it if I would have let him. We went to the park. We went to the splash pad, and such a fun day. He had so much fun. Mom even went out and got into the water, and that don't happen very often. And we came home and opened presents and had birthday cake, and he got it all over his face, and it was all green and blue. And
just how it should be, though, right?
Mm-hmm. And then we all got dressed, and then we came outside, and then we played until it got dark.
And this is the green ATV she's talking about from Michael's birthday the previous year when he turned 5.
Yeah.
absolutely heartbreaking. Let's go through a wonderful, wonderful video that our friend Kat put together. And then we have more talking to do. I'm going to collect myself for a second.
April showers in the month of May. Every day is a struggle. The ground's still wet and the sky's still gray. He's the sweetest little boy in the world. But you're still shining. He's always trying to help. He's perfect with his sister. They have an amazing relationship. No melodies or words to say. He's a wonderful, wonderful little boy. Singing, and it keeps me breathing. When I keep his face out there, don't let the story go away. Bring him home. To a million pieces. We do, come up with monster trucks. Put me back together. Hope that, somebody finally sees one of these, or somebody finally gets the courage to come forward and give that tip that leads us to him, or maybe the person that has him, drop him off at a hospital or a police station, or let him come back home. Through your tear-filled eyes and your hands that shake, darling, I'll be steady. When you're at the end of your tired rope, we just know we can't give up, and so we have to have hope. We maintain that hope that he's coming home. We want our baby home. Darling, I'll be ready when you fall apart. To a million people. And he doesn't deserve this thing every day. Gets us closer to being whole again. Put you back together. I'll put you back together again. I'll put you back together. I'll put you back together again. When I fall apart.
Please. We are begging as a family, as a whole, as a community, as the world. We're begging, please, have your strength and courage to give us something to bring Michael home. And Monkey, we love you.
When you fall apart. To a million pieces, and you don't know where to start. My best little buddy. I'll put you back together.
He's coming home, and they're not going to give up.
I'll put you back together again. You put me back together. Put me back together again.
That took the wind out of my sails. Dispatch Crystal. She said, ugly crying as I'm picking up my son from football workouts. I woke up complaining because I had to get up early on an off day to take him to workouts. But you see the parents, and I see how lucky I am. Yep. I spoke to my son last night to make sure that my daughter-in-law got her gift card and got her flowers. It's a yearly tradition. They have these collector mugs for Tulsa. And anyway, I had to pull some strings to make sure because I ordered too late. And he said he's remodeling his bathroom, and I was texting back and forth with my daughter-in-law, and I said, you want me to come over and help? I'm a good remodeler. I can do all this, My son gets on the phone and he's like, no, Mom, all you're going to do is sit there and drink beer and talk to Carly. And I felt blessed remembering what today's show's about. And the truth is, I probably would just sit there and drink beer and watch him remodel the bathroom. Avi, anything you want to say?
Oh, I'm still recovering. I just want to say to Stacy, Sarah, Brandon, Adrian, and Tina. We're not going to forget about her. Y'all need to talk. And we need to bring this baby home.
Mm-hmm.
Just do the right thing. Brandon, for once in your life, can you please do something right?
Something to save your soul. Brandon, you have the choice between jail and hell. What sounds better? Hell is eternity. Jail, you could possibly get out someday. I'm sorry, Avi, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. That's exactly right. This has been going on for too long. Brandon, you know what happened. Stacy, come on. You tipped off the police. You told them where to go look. You thought you were going to get a deal. Just tell us. Or not even us. Tell LE. Do the right thing.
Now, hold on. Maria O'Sullivan. She said, mute yourself when you're crying, lady. We're talking about an abducted little boy, Maria. Do you expect her or myself or anyone else to sit here stone cold? Now, I give you a lot of leniency with your rude ass comments, but this is too much. Do you want to come up and I can go through the show again and we'll see if you cry?
I'm sorry, I have a heart, Maria.
Maria? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. You need to get a freaking life. How dare you? She said, sorry, typo, meant to say you're making me cry. Please mute. Okay, I understand what you're saying. But no one's going to mute. This is always, always, always a tough show. All is forgiven. All right. I would say that Monkey's little sister puts it out the best for us. You know what they say, out of the mouths of babes.
Which one?
That one. That one's for Monkey and that one for me.
That's for you. We better keep him safe, okay?
Okay. I see a Wilming.
Bloom?
Yeah. Me and that monkey car.
And what do you see if you see Monkey's car?
Yeah. And he's that way or that way. The which way?
You like that one?
He's getting closer.
Oh, Marshmallow.
Are you sad about Monkey?
I am very sad about Monkey, my love.
Yeah, me too. I miss him.
I miss him so much.
Let's draw him a picture.
Yeah, let's draw him pictures. More pictures? Lots of them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, let's throw a picture at him and put it on the sidewalk. He see it.
Yeah.
Let's make a sign for him.
He loves mermaids. All right, well, let's go get the chalks. Mommy's got to go get them.
I just couldn't imagine. I just couldn't imagine.
She wants her brother.
Mm-hmm.
You hear that, Stacy?
And Buggy is at her reality, as a little girl, a little toddler, that Michael is just out there somewhere. That he's just lost. She won't understand any of this for years. And then when I think about the letter that his oldest sister wrote, that's a little too much for me today. But we will go through it in the next show because I want to really slice and dice Brandon and Tina. And I know you guys will be here for it because you're the absolute best and we're never giving up.
And I do want to say one more thing before you end. Sorry to interrupt, but I do want to say one more thing to Brandon, Stacy, Sarah, Adrian, and Tina. Just know the sleuthers are always going to be sleuthing, and the web is always going to be webbing. So you're not going to wiggle your way out of this. We got some hardcore sleuthers in this chat, and we will not stop until Monkey is brought home.
And on top of that, you have many investigative agencies that have evidence. They have evidence. Now, hold on. This is not the show. Okay. Mary Fletcher said, why the fuck would you all still blame Brandy and Tyler? Who in here is blaming Brandy and Tyler? No, I don't think anybody in here. Something must have been misunderstood. Something must have been misunderstood. No, we don't blame Brandy and Tyler at all. But we are going to look at Michael's missing flyer. We're going to say thank you very much to Avi, to True Crime Beat, and to Lana for coming up, and especially to all of you. Huge commends to our friend Kat, who has worked so hard on this case for many, many years before I even knew about it. You saw her video earlier. Take a screenshot of this, share it. Every day is a good day to get the word out about Michael Vaughn. Hell, send an email to the prosecuting attorney's office. Not going to bother me. Especially if you're in Idaho. You have the right to know what's going on with the Michael Vaughn case. I mean, face to face, talking to Nate Eaton. He is only concerned about the DeBell Velo case. Well, that's just not good enough for me. So you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you for being here every day for the right reasons. And I will see you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. You guys are the absolute best. We're out, Avi.
Love you guys. Bye.
What is that, monkey?
Bear.
What is that?
Hi.
Hi, Bear.
Hi, Bear. Hi, baby.
All right, where'd you go? Oh, you went back the other way.
Hi, Dad.
Wait, this way.